Lee Cantor here, another episode of Albuquerque Business Radio, and this is going to be a fun one. Today I have with me Ellen Kohn, and she is with Enlightened Animals. Welcome, Ellen.
Thank you, Lee. Good to be here with you.
Well, before we get too far into things, tell us about your work. Who do you serve, and how long have you been doing it?
I serve both people and their pets, so the human world and the animal world. And I've been doing this for over 20 years. I've started training in about 1999 in energy methods, and it just kept evolving. And now I'm actually working in mediumship, still doing schooling and training. So it just keeps unfolding as we go.
So now, how did you get into this line of work?
It actually was through one of our kids who was dealing with some health issues at the time. I met a healer, and she came over to do energy work on our son, and she looked at the animals around the house and said to me, "You need to train in the animal program." So I did, and that got the ball rolling, and it's never stopped since then. One thing led to another, led to Reiki, led to another form, a modality called Meridian. Then people started asking me to talk to their animals, so then I trained in animal communication. And then I got very drawn to the psychic field and did 7 years in a psychic training school in Colorado. And that led to mediumship, which I'm doing currently here in Santa Fe.
So now how do your clients come to you? Are they mostly referral?
They come word of mouth. They come as repeat clients, even from 5-10 years ago. I got one yesterday. I worked with her many years ago, and she contacted me with an emergency. Or they find me online. If they live in Santa Fe and they're looking for an animal communicator, they find me. Or if they're I specialize in tracking lost animals. So sometimes they'll find me big time word of mouth that way. I do have a pretty national reputation for helping track lost animals. But a lot of it is just internet searching.
Now, walk me through the process when you're tracking a lost animal. The person comes to you probably very worried and concerned. What are some of the first questions you ask, and what are some of the action steps that are needed in order to find the animal?
I would say first and foremost, I tried to get the human part of it centered and grounded in a space where they can, as best as possible, drop their fear so that the energetic vibration can shift. And the animal, if it is able to go home, will not be afraid, because if they feel the human fear, they may think they're in trouble. They may think something's wrong at home and they can't go home. So first, I do a lot of talking with the human. Then I work with a picture of the animal, and I actually go face to face. And can you show me what you're looking at? Show me a picture. Describe what you're seeing. And that works pretty well, because I can get really solid clues. And most of the time, if I start in small steps and I say to the animal, "I'm not asking you to go home, I'm just asking you to show yourself," that can often jumpstart the whole process of the animal coming out of hiding, and somebody will see it, and hopefully the owners put up posters or internet or social media, and the animal will be seen. And then we can pinpoint where the animal is. And sometimes just the energetic shift of that vibration and the owner I have them send out light. Well, the animal go, "Oh, okay, I was just running around the neighborhood. I can go home now." It does sometimes happen that fast, where they know they're not in trouble. They know they're loved, and they go home.
Now, are they normally fairly close to the house, or sometimes they can be very far away?
Cats generally don't go very far away. Dogs, if they've been frightened, can run and keep running, especially if people start chasing them. I had a case a couple years ago in Kentucky, and I told the women, "You have to call off the team. The more people chasing this poor dog around, the more it's going to go into hiding. Maybe one, maybe two people, that's it. And it's best if it's even one, so the dog can see the same person over and over again and not be afraid." And they got the dog. So it's best if you don't have a whole posse of humans thinking they're helping, calling their friends, their neighbors, and they all go out together. It doesn't work. It's like a prey thing. The animal is not in its right mind. It's usually in a fight or flight and just keeps driving it further into hiding.
Now, do you have any advice for the people who are like dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety for this pandemic? Is there anything maybe from an aromatherapy standpoint they can be doing to kind of create some calm?
Yes. The Bach flower essence called Rescue Remedy, it's 5 flower essences, is very helpful for people and pets to put like a drop in your water, a drop in the dog or cat water, or in their food. It will take down the level of stress. Lavender, essential oil, chamomile are excellent for just calming the nervous system down. You can dilute it with some coconut oil and put it on your wrists, or put a drop on a bandana and put it around your dog's neck, because the animals are going to pick up on what we're feeling. There's a lot of global fear, as you know. There's a lot of uncertainty, and the animals are our barometers of those emotions, because they're going to take it on. They're going to be perhaps a little more freaked out, or they could get sick taking on something to prevent us from getting sick. So essential oils are super great, and so are flower essences.
Now, I think you mentioned earlier that some of your work is in training. Who makes a good kind of practitioner of this kind of art? Are there certain skills that a person has to have in order to be good at this?
Well, I found through all the years of training that persistence was really important, because I believe we all have a sixth sense. We all have a psychic center in the middle of our heads. We can all do this work. It's a question of persistence. In other words, if you're passionate by it, no matter what it is, and you keep studying and practicing, you are going to get better and better and better. So sensitive people for sure have an edge, because we feel things, we sense things. Once we can identify what's going on around us, we can read energy, we can see things. I mean, I've always been super sensitive. I just didn't know it. So in my case, sticking with it and studying and not being afraid to try, like to do a reading or practice on somebody. That's how I got started, was just practice, practice, practice. Books and journals full of readings before I went out and made a business around it. But anybody can do it. And it just takes a commitment and a desire to learn how to do psychic readings, or, you know, understand what the spirit world is about, because they're around. It's just a question of them coming in and feeling comfortable working around us.
Now, how do you help the new practitioner kind of get over this maybe imposter syndrome that they're not really good at this?
I would work with them and practice and encourage them, and also tell them don't disregard anything you feel or sense, because it's probably true, that even if it isn't true right now, that to trust whatever message you're getting, because it will have a meaning. Even if it isn't in the present moment, it's very likely it'll have a meaning further down the road.
Now, I understand you're in the process of writing a book, Chasing Light. Can you talk about the book writing process? Is that difficult?
No, it actually started with a horse of mine who is in spirit right now. He died in 2017, and I realized he was channeling messages to me. And I'd be out riding, and I always carry a cell phone, and I would be dictating in my phone what he was saying. So one chapter led to another, and soon it began to coalesce, and different horses now have joined what I call sort of the equine council. And I see that there's a pattern of how they come into my life and how they are each spirits, let's call them, for this book, because even though Monty was the spearheaded individual, let's call it, the others are speaking up and telling their story. So it'll have different sections from different horses with different messages, but it was all planned. And it hasn't been that clear until now, when I'm at the end of, say, the giant round of pulling all the chapters together and rewriting some of them, listening again, that this was a bigger plan, that they need to be heard. And they're bringing messages for the humans. So it isn't about horse to horse, it's horse to human.
Now, can you share a little bit about, for the people out there that might be skeptical about this kind of work, what are some misconceptions and what are some things that you believe are so?
Misconceptions about being a psychic or a medium, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. That I think the misconceptions are that, number one, it isn't real, that doesn't really exist. And I think all of us start out with that doubt and that uncertainty is, how could this be true? We can't see, feel, touch, smell. None of our five senses can address this because it's an invisible realm. So that would be a skeptic's thing, is how could this be real? Because I can't prove it. But yet, if you're doing a reading and you say to a cat owner, your kitten came from a litter of 4 kittens, there were 2 black kittens and 2 tabbies, and the owner says, yes, that's correct. How did the psychic or the animal communicator know that? Because they either heard it or they saw it visually. I can sometimes see those things. So it can be, quote, proven through the messages you receive. Here's another example. If I'm doing a mediumship reading and I'm reading the sitter and I say, I have a gentleman here and I heard the name Don. And the woman I'm reading says, yes, that's my uncle. He's in spirit and his name was Don. You can't make that stuff up. Or you get a picture of a woodwork. This happened to me once where I saw an individual in a workshop working with wood. And I said to the gentleman I was reading, I see a lot of wood and woodworking. And he said to me in response, I can confirm that because my uncle had a woodworking shop. So it's through the messages we receive or the visions we get that the doubt can just be dissipated.
Now, for somebody who wants to learn more, is there a website to get on your calendar?
I can teach some things. I don't know that I would be certified per se. I can recommend teachers to people who want to study the psychic arts. I know an excellent school in Colorado, and there's a new one here in Santa Fe that's starting up. There are actually 2 I could recommend. One is doing remote work and one isn't right now, but I can recommend people to study with, and links for online courses that if people are interested, because there are lots of different ways to learn it. And the people who are interested would have what I call a resonance, a vibratory resonance. They would know when they get into, say, a session, if it feels right or not. Does that make sense?
Sure. Now, if somebody wants to connect with you, do you have a website for your work?
Yes, I do. And I'm happy to talk to anybody who wants to learn or understand this better. I wouldn't charge money to encourage people to contact me because I love what I do and I want to encourage more people to study this field, this quantum energetic realm that I believe we're all entering into more and more and connecting more of us. So my website is www.enlightenedanimals.com.
Well, Ellen, thank you so much for sharing your story today.
Thank you, Lee.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We will see you all next time on Albuquerque Business Radio.